It's the natural way of learning English. So you're learning English in an absolute natural way. It's like how native speakers learn English or how children learn English because they are immersed in language and they're able to pick things up comfortably. It's not like they are studying the language. They learn the language even without realizing. So hello everyone, how are you all? Hope you're doing great. Welcome back to another session of learning English with me. Today I'm going to tell you how to immerse yourself in English to become a fluent English speaker. Immerse yourself in English. Now, what is immerse? Immerse is when you are completely surrounded by something, when you completely dedicate yourself to something. And immersion technique is a very important technique while learning any language. So when you learn a language, immersion technique is something that you need to consider. So if you are learning English, if you want to become a fluent English speaker, effortless fluent English, you need to pay attention towards immersion technique. That's what I'm going to discuss in details today. Are you ready for this? I'm Shivangi Gupta, your CELTA certified English language tutor, and you're watching Speak English with Shivangi. Before moving forward, I would like to request you to please subscribe the channel if you're new here. Like this video if you find this video to be helpful, and please share the video with your friends. Okay, moving forward with the lesson today. So today's technique is immersion technique. Immerse yourself in English. Now, what do I exactly mean by immerse yourself in English? So when you immerse yourself in something, what you're doing is you're surrounding yourself with that particular thing, but in a comfortable way. So what you do is you try to get natural exposure to your target language. Our target language is English. So target language is the language that you want to learn, that you want to speak fluently, and native language is your mother tongue, the language that you speak. For example, my native language is Hindi, and when I was learning English, my target language was English. Now, as I'm a fluent English speaker and my fluency is equivalent to a native English speaker, so my target language has also become now equivalent to my first language only. So I've gained the same kind of fluency in the language. Now, if you also want to do that, immersion technique is something that can be really helpful for you, because this technique will help you get the results faster. This technique will help you become real fluent speaker. It's not about you're fluent when you're practicing English. You're fluent when you're speaking English in the real world, in the real situation. Now, when I say immerse yourself, it's like you're surrounding yourself with English. And you need exposure to English learning environment. So anybody who is living in English speaking country, they are naturally exposed to English language. But if you are in a country where English is your official language and it is the second most popular language, you will get a lot of opportunity to get this exposure, to immerse yourself in English language. And for this, you have to make some efforts too. For example, immersing in English, like choosing your daily activities in English, to do those activities in English. So I talk about listening to podcasts, listening to songs, reading books, newspaper, news article. I talk about all these things, the benefits of these things, how to read them, what to do in the correct way, the correct manner of utilizing all these resources. I make lots of videos on that. So today I'm going to tell you this is one method to immerse yourself in English. This is one way through which you can completely immerse yourself in English. And immersing yourself is not so difficult. Sometimes this idea of immersing yourself in English seems difficult to people, that how will immersion technique work because you don't have an English speaking environment. The thing is that I know lack of an English speaking environment will create a difficulty, but it's up to you. You have to make some efforts, and when you will make efforts, you will be able to immerse yourself in English. Now there are two words. Okay, listen carefully. This can be a bit technical, but I'm sure you will be able to understand. Immersion versus submersion. Okay, immersion it's a word that has been taken from swimming, or it's related to water. So immerse is when you are underwater but you're able to breathe. So immersing yourself in water is like you're comfortable with water. You're swimming in it, maybe you're swimming underwater, maybe you're diving, you are immersed in water but you are able to breathe. You're able to look around, you're comfortable. Submersion is something that's like you're drowning in water, like you cannot breathe. So if you're submerged, that's negative. If you're immersed, that's positive. So like this is water, you're immersed. For example, you dived in for swimming and you're able to swim, you're able to breathe, that's immerse. Now submerged is someone jumped in and suddenly they're not able to breathe, they start drowning. Now this is submersion, that's negative, and we're not talking about submersion at all. That's one difference that often learners, English speakers, they don't know, and this is very important to address. When I say immerse yourself in English, surround yourself with English, you need to breathe. It's not like you cut out your native language. It's going to be very difficult if you 100% cut out your native language. You try cutting out your native language altogether. No, don't do that. You don't have to give up on your native language. Keep your native language, but try using English language too. Okay, so replace it in chunks. So this is the 100% of English you're speaking. Start by replacing 15% or 20%. So in a day, if you are speaking 100% in your native language, now try replacing 20% of that speaking tasks with English. Okay, so this will help you a lot in developing a habit of speaking in English and getting immersed in English too. One thing that I would say is, when you're choosing books to read, choose something that is appropriate for your level. For example, you can see a lot of classics kept here. I would not recommend you to jump to these classics if you are a beginner right now, especially at reading, because you will feel frustrated. I always suggest that if you love classics, you can buy illustrated versions. There are illustrated versions which are a bit easy in language and they'll be great for you. There is one kept right here, as you can see, this one. So this is illustrated classic series. I even did a reading session with this one. I launched some reading skills plus listening skills along with different areas of English language learning. I launched a series, I used this. So you can pick up something that is comfortable for you. Do not watch a series, a movie that you do not like just because it's in English. Try to select something that you enjoy. You don't have to submerge in English, okay? You don't have to let everything be in English. Do not make it forced. Make it easy, so that you can follow it for the coming days. If you are doing something that is requiring lots and lots of efforts and something that is forced, that you're not enjoying, believe me, you will not get the results. So the thing is that immerse yourself in English with a clear perspective of how much are you comfortable and how much it's going beyond your comfort level, and in a very negative sense. So challenging your comfort zone is okay, but doing something that is altogether negative and that is not helping you at all in progress is something we need to avoid. So surround yourself with English. Try to have daily activities in English. Whatever you're doing, do it in English. Try to replace chunks of your native language. Chunk is like a part, a small part. So try to replace the chunks of your native language with English language when you are speaking. And believe me, immersing is a great technique. Surrounding yourself with English is a great technique through which you can become a fluent English speaker, because a lot of things happens when you're immersing yourself with English. You're constantly getting a brain stimulus. We call it stimulus. That is, your brain is interacting with the language a lot. And when your brain is interacting, when you are interacting with language in a natural way, you develop a habit of using that in a natural way. That is, you don't have to make so many efforts. It's not something that you're doing as a subject. Instead, you're becoming habitual of using the language. Slowly and gradually, you're becoming comfortable with the language. So there are a lot of benefits, about this particular technique, immersion technique. Do you know that immersion is a technique that is equivalent to how a native speaker learns their mother tongue? So this is the technique that is naturally used without any force when you learned your mother tongue. To get surrounded with that language, you hear it, you watch things in that particular language, and there are things around you in that particular language. So immersion is a technique that is natural. Benefit number one is it's the natural way of learning English. So you're learning English in an absolute natural way. It's like how native speakers learn English or how children learn English, because they are immersed in language and they're able to pick things up comfortably. It's not like they are studying the language. They learn the language even without realizing. So when you immerse yourself, it's easier for you to learn the language. It's easier for you to speak the language. Now the benefit number two is you get lots of speaking practice. So when you immerse yourself in English language, you get lots and lots of speaking practice. That is important because you are immersing yourself in English. You'll know that this is the thing that I have to do. You start speaking in English without even realizing. You start using English more, and then you get to speak English because you're more involved in doing all those speaking practice tasks too. So this is a great way to practice English, especially speaking skills. Benefit number three, you're learning English passively. It's like you're interacting with the language, that I always say. Natural interaction with the language, and you pick things up without even realizing. So without realizing, you might pick vocab, you might pick a phrase, you might pick pronunciation, and this is a great way to learn any language, especially the English language. So that's it for the lesson today. That is it. I hope you liked the lesson and this was helpful for you. I'm gonna see you tomorrow again with a new lesson. Till then, take care and bye.